Hello, Dark Reader, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and on this minisode today, we are going to be talking about The Dead Take the A Train. This is by two authors. We have Cassandra Khaw, and we also have Richard Kadrey. And I will go through all of that in just a second. I just want to let you know what the summary of the story is about. You can see the cover is super cool. It is cosmic horror, by the way. So it's got urban fantasy, cosmic horror, LGBTQ plus elements in it. We have a lot. There's a lot going on in this story, so I'm going to do my best to summarize it and talk about my feelings. So here's our summary, and I'm going to read off of the Amazon prompt here. So it says, Julie Cruz is a coked up but burnt out 30-something who packs a lot of magic into her tiny body. She's been trying to establish herself in the New York City magic scene, but she works the most gruesome gigs to claw her way up, but she, like, most of this is to kind of maintain her lifestyle of just being, like, kind of a mess. Understandable. And because she's got all of these gigs, it's really hard for her to get an apprentice because that's kind of important, or somebody to like help her out. So Julie is desperate for a quick career boost to break the dead end grind. I mean, it's kind of, it's a lot. It's a lot of work for little pay. So her pleas draw the attention of an eldritch god who's hungry for revenge. Her power grab sets off a deadly chain of events, puts her closest friends at risk, and the entire world is now directly in the path of annihilation. Yes, it is the first explosive adventure in the Carrion City duology. So there's a lot of stuff that's actually missed in this summary by Amazon. It totally misses the fact that we have another narrator who's the antagonist, whose name is Tyler. Julie and Tyler used to be lovers. Tyler kind of funds Julie a lot. He's the one that gives her a lot of these really crappy gigs for the most part. He knows she can do it. He takes a lot of credit for it, and he works for this this company. Works for the mother who eats. Oh yeah, that's fun. Imagine if that's your boss. So he also is trying to climb the corporate ladder simultaneously. The two are kind of at odds with each other. So the one big thing about Tyler and Julie and that plot of the story that's absolutely missing in this summary is that Tyler gives Julie this gig. It's quite deadly, in fact. Like, it's quite bad. It's pretty bad for Tyler. She makes it, but Julie finds out there's a lot of stuff going on within Tyler's company. Somebody's trying to screw shit up. So that's one big part that they're missing in the plot summary. But another one! Yes, another one. We have Sarah, who was Julie's BFF in childhood. She arrives at Julie's house all at the same time that this stuff is happening with Tyler's company, Julie almost dying and losing her apprentice, just all this stuff. Julie comes with bags in hand, bags under her eyes, and she's looking for a place to stay. And Julie's like, all right, Sarah, come on in. Of course, you're like my old time BFF. And Sarah is running away from her ex-husband now, who has been clearly very violent with Sarah, and it's horrible. But now Sarah is at odds with her ex-husband, and Sarah and Julie are basically, they both have issues with their exes. So that is the other plot of this story. But it is a lot more complicated than that, and I will get into it a little later. So let's talk about our authors real fast. And I was a little hesitant to read a book. I have to be honest, this is one of my first, I'm sure I've read other ones, but I can't think of them offhand. But this is one of my first novels that I can remember that has definitely 100% been written by two people. So Cassandra Khaw was born in Malaysia, and they have contributed to a lot of like sci-fi, dark fantasy, but video games even, short stories, and of course novels. So the one that I've read of Cassandra Khaw's is The Salt Grows Heavy. I really enjoyed The Salt Grows Heavy, and their other book that did really well in 2021 was Nothing But Blackened Teeth, but that one I've noticed has two very different reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I didn't give myself a chance to actually read that novel. The novella, though, was fantastic. Cassandra Khaw has a beautiful writing style. It's very elegant. It's atmospheric. It's nitty gritty. It's just visceral, especially in The Salt Grows Heavy. It's very body horror-esque and just so well done. But the thing is, it's just this beautiful prose. It's just such a high quality of writing, and it's not something you see a lot of. So Richard Kelly, on the other hand, he is the author of the best-selling novel series, The Sandman Slim, which is a supernatural noir series. I have not read any of Richard Kadrey's stuff at all, but now I'm really curious about it. Sandman Slim apparently is in line for maybe a feature film as well. And I'm really excited because it'd be cool to see and maybe read at the same time. He's also done some other things too. We have King Bullet, The Grand Dark, Butcher Bird, and he's written for film and comics, so heavy metal, which is great. We have Lucifer, Hellblazer, so you can see he's done a lot of stuff, and he's in a band. I mean, Richard Kadrey's cool, but you can see where this is going. He loves like that kind of nitty gritty, sarcastic, witty, darker characters, I guess. And the two of them make a fantastic pair, which leads me to my thoughts on this novel. Right off the bat, I was really concerned with already cosmic horror is just really difficult to read. Like Lovecraft for me has been sometimes a slog just because it's a little too eloquent for me. And Cassandra Khaw, I can see getting into that area as well, where they just, sometimes they feel like they have a thesaurus right next to him, and I know I need one, and I'm like, what is this word? So that's one thing I was really concerned about, but Richard Kadrey cuts a lot of that just over-explaining certain things, where it worked with Cassandra Khaw's previous book, The Salt Grows Heavy. Like, it totally works for that. But with something like this, something about this burnout 30-year-old woman named Julie Cruz, who is like literally a demon / cosmic horror hunter and has magic, and probably the first word that came out of her mouth out of the womb was F. So I just don't really see Cassandra Khaw doing something like that, whereas Richard Kadrey, I totally can. But Cassandra Khaw uplifts the novel and makes it really grotesque and visceral, and you can see and feel all of the things that are happening around Julie, the monsters, and just like the ick factor, but in such a good way. So the two of them, Richard Kadrey and Cassandra Khaw, do a fantastic job, like balancing each other out, and I really enjoyed that. But here's where it fell flat for me. So I gave this book about a 3 out of 5, and I think this is partially my fault. So I read the audiobook. I know that sounds weird saying I read the audiobook. My medium was the audiobook. I don't think that is the best platform for this. I think an actual physical copy makes the most sense because there's a lot going on in this novel. This has nothing to do with the narrator. The narrator, Natalie, is a fantastic narrator. She's actually famous in, as far as like the audiobook world goes, and has done a lot of great dark novels. She's great, but I think the problem was me, and it's really hard to get lost in some of the stuff. It was difficult for me to start imagining some of these creatures where I feel like if I'm reading a book, I can kind of go back and really analyze what's going on versus like trying to rewind 15 seconds. Oh crap, I went too far. You know, that sort of thing. It just kind of ruins the element a little bit, whereas a physical copy would be better. The other thing though, I think this book would be a fantastic comic series, and I really hope that's something that happens, because just even the cover is great. Can you imagine just learning about all of these cosmic entities and seeing Julie in her lowest form, but using magic and all of this stuff happening in this crazy New York City world visually in a graphic novel? Oh my god, I hope it happens, truly. Please consider it, you guys. Consider it. Anyway, so here's some other feelings I had about this novel. Julie, though I like this kind of character, I like gritty, I like no nonsense, I love the swearing sailors, I love the violence and the gore and the that shit happens kind of character. But we've seen a lot of these, like, you know, burnout characters in pop culture that I feel like Julie's, it's a little cartoony sometimes, where I almost feel like, because we've seen it so many times, we are relying on our visual representation of what that actually looks like, and it's a little stereotypical, and I wish it was elevated just a touch. And I didn't, as much as I love those characters and can even relate sometimes to somebody like Julie and how flawed she is, I just, it didn't really click for me with Julie, and I was kind of shocked, because for me, it doesn't take much to love a character like that. It was just kind of a little for me. I actually was shocked because I really enjoyed reading about Tyler, the antagonist. Even though he is a bit cartoony too, I feel like, was elevated. His motives, just how far he was able to go, and just how horrible of a person he was, and how you as an audience member it's revealed to you over time, and how it just gets, you're like, how could it get any worse? Like, how? Oh, it does? Great. That's wonderful. Sometimes there were times where I was like, he's not going to be that bad. There's no way. He totally is. It was great. So I actually really enjoyed Tyler. But the funny part is, when you look at the different stories, Tyler's like climbing up the corporate ladder, being paranoid about like his position, because the mother who eats will dispose of anybody and kill people. Like, if you are not working, it's just heartless. Like, you're just not working. Death. Can you imagine working for a company like that? But like, all of that, sure, that was interesting. It's kind of fun and kind of hysterical at the same time, and you really want Tyler to get his comeuppance. But Julie's story is actually more fun when it is that action-packed, hunting things down, investigating what's happening with this case that's kind of actually surrounding Tyler as well, and this archangel that Julie is introduced to sort of in the beginning of the book. So Julie's actual stuff that's happening, the events surrounding Julie, are more interesting to me, which was fun, but I didn't relate to Julie. Plus, Julie gets kind of a lot of those Tyler gets this too, but Julie, we get to see all kinds of interesting cosmic horrors lurking about, and like the different visuals you get, how they look, how they walk, how they skitter, just like, bleh, how they have like little things coming out of them, making up other things. It's just wild. It's a wild ride. So the other thing that I wasn't necessarily a fan of in this book was, it's hard because I feel like I'm kind of in the middle here. Julie and Sarah, their female to female budding romance, basically the one who got away trope, it was endearing and it was really cute. I thought it was touching. There's a lot of really cute moments in that book, but parts of it I just wasn't really convinced. I wasn't really sure what was going on, and to me I was like, is this just sort of like the foundation of another sort of codependency? Like Julie talks about how she, her retirement plan is like not making it past 30. And Sarah is the mom friend, and she's like taking care of Julie in a lot of those sorts of ways. Julie doesn't take care of herself. She eats top ramen every day, sort of character. And then Sarah's like, I'm going to make a very fancy meal, and you're going to eat healthy. And it's cute, but at the same time, is it cute? I know that happens a lot, and like, a lot of relationships can be like that, but still I'm like, is it convincing enough for me where it's like, oh, it's the one who got away? Or is it just Sarah needs a partner to feel protected, and then Julie can't take care of herself, and it's comforting to have somebody take care of her because Julie can't do it herself? You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I still found a lot of scenes really cute with them, and it grows on you for sure. It's a little hard sometimes. This book is is a delight in a lot of ways. It's gory, very gory. So if you're not into gore at all, do not pick this up. It's bloody, it is snarky, it's dark and gritty, it's kind of fun. It's a weird like Scooby-Doo gang. There's a lot of interesting characters, like Julie's apartment manager is fun. Dead Air is fun. We have Billy. There's a lot of cool side characters that kind of pop in and out in this book. And I love the idea of the world. But to me, this book is the entryway to the, and I know that sounds really dumb because every first novel is, but my biggest gripe is there's just so many things that we do not know about. And it's very complex. Like, there's a lot of complex systems here. How did certain things go into power? The magic system, the cosmic corporation in charge and how that's sustainable. Just a lot of stuff, like why even integrate with humans at all? There's just a lot of things there that maybe I missed too. But one thing I did appreciate about this novel is that this is not, to me, like first novel and then you have to wait for the second novel for a completion of things. There are a lot of unknowns, but there's a completed story that happens in this novel. So you could just read this novel by itself and you would be fine. But that's why I think this would be such a great series, a long-running series where it's just kind of like, I don't know, like Vampire Masquerade, or just like, here is this world that they are in. We have Julie Cruz and her gang exploring this world of New York City and cosmic horrors and corporate conspiracies and blah, blah, blah. That's great. So I love that we have, like, here is this storyline, and the next one will be another thing to solve. This is my second novel, aside from Lovecraft, which I've kind of dabbled in, but not too much. Eldritch-ish, cosmic horror, urban fantasy that I've picked up that's kind of OG. The other book that I did pick up previously that has this sort of theme is The Ballad of Black Tom. That's by Victor Lavelle. That's based off of one of Lovecraft's stories, but expanded on, in a very excellent story. So I do like cosmic horror. I think it's really interesting and fun. And I do think that these two together make a really, really great team. Cassandra Khaw does a fantastic job describing all of the different gross facets of like eldritch horror and the atmosphere and the creep factor. But then we have Richard Kadrey that gives us a lot more of that snark and that zippiness and just like that punk aesthetic, which I really dig. So I am willing to try the second book. If this sounds like this would be up your alley, give it a go. Let me know what you think about The Dead Take the A Train by Cassandra Khaw and Richard Kadrey. If you're interested in dark books in general, make sure to check out our show notes. We do have affiliate links for those, so if you do purchase any of those books, we do get a slight commission, and thank you so much. It helps maintain this podcast. We like to publish every Wednesday and Friday, so if you are looking for some dark, spooky reads, stay tuned until then. And join us on our socials. All of those are listed in the description down below on YouTube, or you can also find us Instagram, YouTube, obviously, your favorite listening app, Facebook, and Amazon Live. So join us there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will see you next time, and have a creeptastic rest of your week.